haven't been in the Shire since I was like 6.
My
you
God,
know, it's been a long time.
Yeah. We got new cool friends like Strider and freaking Legolas. His true sense of home, you know. I'm coming home. Chris Daughtry. We're gonna have like movies and video games.
Play
and,
Super
like,
Smash Brothers.
Yeah, it's gonna be a blast.
Good afternoon, my name is Christian. Welcome to Jared to Jared. On this week's episode, the Jareds have a therapy session and discuss The Lord of the Rings, Dreaming of Being a Cat, Pharaoh Pepi II, Finding Gratitude, Emotional Organization, and much, much more. Here comes the show.
All right, here's how it started, Therapod. Okay, you mentioned before that we did a pod. This must have been back in December. We did it over Zoom. I was in New York. And I commented during the pod at some point, like, man, this conversation just lifted my spirits. Like, wow, like I was feeling pretty rough, but just like, wow, this is exactly what I needed.
Right.
So both of us are like, maybe a little tired, you know, rough week, something like that. So we're like, all right, maybe we could lift ourselves out of it, do a Therapod.
I think, hey, maybe a lot of the listeners are feeling the same way.
Yeah,
out there,
who knows?
You know?
Late summer. There's a late summer blues. There's a late summer
fall,
blues.
The time of change right now.
Yeah. I mean,
there's
I love
been
the fall.
a lot of gain, a lot of loss this year. What I was thinking,
2025 is practically over.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What were you thinking?
Oftentimes we focus on the end goal.
Yeah.
The reward at the end of the journey.
Right.
And or we're fixated on beginning the journey.
Yeah.
I think we're at a point now, Jared, where we need to reflect on the journey itself. Because in order for it to be completed is you gotta stop to camp.
You gotta stop to camp.
And rest and check in with each other, check in with the bros.
We're at a camp spot right now.
Yeah.
We're at the camp spot. We're at the J camp spot.
We're cooking potatoes and sausages.
Just about 9 months into freaking 2025.
Yes.
All right.
Because I feel like this pod started in 2023. I feel like there's been massive changes since then.
Oh, yeah.
Was it 23 or 22?
23.
23, yeah. So though I think that there has been obstacles won, challenges won, hey man, you still got to check in on yourself and make sure that, all right, you won that game, but how are you? Forget the game. Stop with the game. Stop with the Hagrid needs to rest.
Totally.
What's going on?
And I like that the Therapod is also that check-in point, because I do think of the therapist's office, so to speak, as the as a check-in. It's a moment when you pause and you breathe and you zoom out.
Right.
And you look at the cards. You're no longer just like in the cards. You're not in the weeds. You've zoomed out. You're taking a moment. You were embattled on Earth, right? And then you you zoomed out, got into the space station for a bit. You're taking a break.
Yes.
And reflecting. All right, what was that about? Because we were just in it. We were just deep in the chapters. And now we're taking a break. We zoomed out and now we're looking back in.
Right.
So I think that's the Therapod.
So Harry Seldon, all right, Foundations. Kick it back to Isaac Asimov. Harry Seldon, mathematician in the future, is able to come up with an equation that takes into account our past in order to predict the future.
That makes sense. Yeah. We're back on prophecy.
No. But what I was going to say is that sort of we can do that our own. We don't need the Tesseract to do
You don't need the Tesseract. The Tesseract
we can
helps,
go back to now look at a short-term history now.
Yeah.
To sort of basically a reflection, right? A period of reflection. Mm-hmm. What can we take away that's been good? What can we still work on? What's been a little bit awry? did we mess up on a trailhead here or there? We we shouldn't have taken one of those. That took us 3 days out of the way. Or have we gone too far?
See, exactly. And I was thinking of it this way when I was getting my burrito earlier. So El Parasol, so good.
Oh, God. Best place for a revelation.
So good. So I was thinking there's this Jungian psychologist named James Hollis, and he's just got a good story. He's like in his 80s now. He might be dead already. I know he had cancer last I heard, but anyway. So this dude, he was a English professor for, I think, until he was about 35 or so, right? And successful. Wrote a book or two, got tenure, all that kind of stuff. And he was an English professor in like the 70s, you know, it's just like, dude was crushing it, good salary, all these things. So he's about 35 and he has a wife, he has kids, and he's at the peak of his career and all this stuff, and he should be thriving and should be feeling good. And he's depressed. And he's not a depressive person. Like, for the first time ever in his life, he's like, what is this? Like, whoa, what just happened? What is this depression? So really reluctantly, he goes into therapy, goes into the Therapod, and then assesses what's going on with this therapist and realizes the form that his life had previously took. Professor, English professor, literary man, all this kind of stuff, writing books about scholarly figures, all this kind of stuff, realized that wasn't who he was anymore at that point. And he was depressed, not because something was wrong with him, but because his beingness itself was trying to enunciate, trying to speak and say, hey, you were on the right trail for a long time. You're no longer on the right trail. So pretty often when we feel depressed, anxious, all that kind of stuff, we want to like push it away and be like, oh, what's wrong with me? Why am I feeling this? But this guy had the courage to say, wait, maybe this is my psyche, my spirit telling me something's off in my life. And to actually trust the feeling of depression that he was going through. Right. Different orientation.
Yeah.
And then made that shift. And then ended up leaving work for a little bit, doing a lot of soul searching, reflecting, and then gets more into psychology and that kind of stuff, and ends up finding great meaning there and all that kind of stuff. And then never looked back, that sort of thing.
Sure.
So, you know, I've been feeling a little tired, a little rough around the edges. Okay. And honestly, it's just because I'm working. Work sucks.
Oh, man.
But it's
necessary.
It's necessary. Yeah. I'd actually rather I'd much rather be working.
That doesn't mean that it's great, though.
That doesn't mean it's great. But I'm finding, and I think what I need to do is reorient my balance, because I'm spending a little too much time just like at the grocery store, working, and realizing, or I don't know, just doing things that feel obligatory to me rather than like the things that fill my soul. You know, I haven't been doing as much riding my bike, drawing, doing a pod, reading Moby Dick, you know, just stuff that like feels good and fulfilling for me. You know, it's like I kind of lost connection with that a little bit. I traveled to New York, I was super busy there, so I lost my connection with just my day-to-day sort of practices. So I'm like, so in other words, it's like, oh, of course my body's feeling like sort of tired and sort of upset, because it's like, dude, I don't want to wake up and clock into work, and I want to hang out and draw and read and do a pod and like do all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
I'm not saying that I need to like, you know, quit the job I just got to go just focus on that. Like I've done that before, and that had its drawbacks. Yes. But I'm saying just find some balance and listen to that inner sense that's like, dude, what's up? You're off balance. You're off balance. And listening to that and seeing what that's saying. Right. So to throw it back to you, what are you experiencing that sense of imbalance? And if so, is that imbalance actually not a problem that you need to solve, but rather something that your psyche is trying to tell you
Right. Now, I like all this. Sort of like if this was the J to J clinic.
Dude, you talked about this. Like, you've mentioned this before. I think we're going to start the J to J clinic.
Did it. Dude, why can't we? You know?
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
That's true.
Shoot, I'm going to school with you so we can actually do this.
Dude, that's what I'm psyched about. Let me just, sorry to interrupt. Just one more interjection. I am fucking psyched for school. I am psyched for school. That shit's starting in a month. I'm going to be reading. I'm going to be writing. I'm going to be studying, learning about the mind, all that stuff. Like, I'm excited to do meaningful work and be back on that academic track.
Right.
And it might be too early to tell, but I already have this, like, man, I want to do the master's, and then I want to get a PhD. I want to be Dr. McHugh, man. I want that.
Dude, you need
couple
to be,
of and then we can start our clinic, bro.
Yes.
I want to get on the J to J level.
Absolutely.
I want to get on your level.
You'll have like more of the psych background. I only have the
you got the literature,
the theory, the lit, and the minor in it.
Yeah.
But I'll be the Deleuze to your Guittari, you know.
Let's do it. Let's start the clinic, bro.
Because Guittari had more of the, the health fucking side. But anyways, incredible. So one of our first chapters in our, the magnum opus of the J to J clinic is emotional organization.
Okay.
And finding a way in which that we organize our time to satisfy ourselves emotionally and spiritually.
Exactly.
And this goes to sort of what you're saying with work too, just like, I don't want to do that. But then the other extreme is extreme, blah, blah, blah. It can go back and forth. The bottom line is I'm sort of thinking about going into that like funny, like drawers store at the mall. That's all they sell is like ways to organize your like pantry and shit. But if you think about your pantry is your brain, or your emotional self, your heart, what are we compartmentalizing? What are we organizing so that we can make order and sense and then have a better sort of sense of feng shui?
I like this.
Peace and flow. Right. And, even I was talking to Dion on the phone the other day. We talked for like two hours or something, and I was just like started cleaning the house, disaster. By the time I was almost done with the conversation with him, clean the house, just like peace and serenity. Me and him are saying like once the home is clean, like cleanliness is next to some sort of godliness or spirituality, That's one way of sort of organizing your emotional self, what have you. And then let me hark back. Another thing I wanted to say about what you're saying about the example you brought up. Yeah. About this individual.
That guy, James Hollis. The guy,
James Hollis, right.
Literary man who became the psychology man.
Yes. His story, to me, is good because that's an example of going too far. You can accomplish your goal and then like overdo it or stay too long you go too far. You're here at the lake, but oh my god, now you're passing the lake, right? And your goal is behind you now, and now you're in the wilderness, and it's super dangerous over here. Freaking eagle's gonna take your eye out. So being able to acknowledge when, hey, I've done something good. I've accomplished a previous goal that I really wanted to do. Sure. Life threads completed, thread connected and tied. But you can't do that unless you have a Therapod, sit down in the clinic and sort of be able to sit back, say, oh man, really good quote from the show I'm watching with Jason Momoa, the Warrior King. And she tells him, I'm not your counsel. You can talk to me. A man who doesn't speak his truth will eventually be driven mad and cracked open. Yeah. So having the village, having like somewhere and something to be able to verbalize, communicate, socialize, Right. This is a way in which you can figure out the organization of your emotional self.
Totally. I like that a lot. I really, really like that. Yeah, because I think one of the risks of life, modern life, maybe it's a man thing. I don't know. It's probably an everyone thing, but that issue of not speaking your truth, wearing a mask, you know, going through the performativity of who you think you're supposed to be in order to be a quote unquote good man in the world.
Right.
A good person, a family man, all these sorts of things, right? There is a level of propaganda around what the society tells us we're supposed to be, you know, and it's not even that any of these things are necessarily bad, you know, be like a family man or giving to your community, all this kind of stuff, whatever. It's all could ultimately be good stuff. But if it's not coming from a place of genuine truth, then you start to exhaust yourself. You're wearing a mask, or if you're living your life in such a way that, you know, more than 50% of your day-to-day experience is spent in obligation.
Right.
Rather than truth, you know, obligation. Oh, I need to do this for some family members or interact in such a way with family members out of a sense of obligation. I need to go do my job because, yeah, I need money, but there's a sense of obligation there. I'm gonna whatever within one's relationship, children, whatever, all these things, you know, I think that's a risk for a lot of men, is this like falling into the trap of obligation rather than truth. And that's not to say that one's truth is selfish, you know, that, oh, I'm going to reject all my obligations and just go like, I want to do whatever I want all day or something like that. That's just kind of babyish and selfish, but it's yeah, speaking your truth, owning that truth, whatever it is, I think is deeply important to feel healthy.
Sure. Yeah. This is making me think too of, you know, we've been discussing grief. I recently lost someone close to me.
Sure.
And, you know, funeral is beautiful. There's hundreds of people there, you know, just a very beloved person, Carver's dream, you know?
Yeah.
And one thing people always said is that this person would say yes, you know, go over, help out, you know, come over for coffee. Let's go for a walk. Let's do this. Do you want to help me out with this? Or do you want to join my draft? Anything.
Yeah.
He said yes. And I think that there's something about like seeing the village, seeing the individuals, and not so much fixated on the self, but knowing that you're inherently nourishing yourself too by being wholesome, by being empathetic, by being understanding, by saying yes, and then putting yourself in situations that you wouldn't necessarily want to be in regularly.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you meet a new brother, a new friend, a new sister, a new like really cool like group of people, whatever, or you get into a funny situation, whatever.
Yeah.
The bottom line is you did something good, and even just showing up for somebody, being there as a presence, that means something.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, I think I've dealt with this a lot, but like in this generation, especially us millennials, is we don't think that we're like appreciated enough to be like a commodity at somebody's house or party to a family. When I say that, I mean like something that's like welcomed and like appreciated and actually wanted.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we're not just inviting you because you're this, or because I want to have sex with you, or because, you know, I have some weird like job thing I want to do, or know what I mean? Some ulterior motive or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like, no, I think people genuinely like we're loved, and we forget that.
Yeah.
And remembering that is super important when you're sort of doing this emotional, like, you know, orientation or whatever. Like, we talked about this once before. It's sort of like writing music, right? you got to get those right notes in there,
right.
you know, in order to create something magical. You'll never have those notes if you're missing the white keys, which is love, you know.
that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and I think I was just thinking too, it's thinking of mental health, feeling good, love, truth. Stick with truth for right now. All of these as a spectrum. And like you were saying earlier, the drawers, you know, the compartments of your mind and of your life, you know.
Right.
Because sometimes I think part of this like a little bit of malaise that I'm feeling right now is just like there's spots, and they're just spots, you know, but spots in my life where I feel like I haven't been fully in my truth, fully in my integrity.
Yeah.
Maybe someone said something to me, and instead of speaking what I felt needed to be spoken, I'll hold it in and withdraw because I'm like, forget it. It's not worth it. I don't feel like rocking the boat or whatever it is, you know? So then I kind of hold that truth in and turn away thinking like, fuck it, whatever.
Right.
But that actually creates this like inner constipation, this like energetic constipation, you know?
Right.
So, but also just allowing myself to say, okay, well, it's also just spots.
Sure.
You know, in life, it's not like my entire life is an untruth.
Sure.
You know, it's just like I've been deeply truthful with who I am and myself in a lot of ways, but then there's, you know, spots that come up that I run away a little bit from my own truth, you know?
See, and that what's happening is you're getting scattered and cluttered.
Exactly.
In the pantry, the emotional pantry, right? Because if you're doing emotional organization while putting something that expires in your pantry is going to make the whole thing smell, potentially cross-contamination,
totally.
Eventually all the shit, right? So you got to get rid of it.
Right.
You know, you got to figure out what should stay, what should not stay. Yeah. And, you know, something that's actually good should stay, but it's in the rotten bin. Let's put it over here.
Yeah.
You know, let's figure out what it is. Yeah. And the truth thing is interesting because I think the problem is we so oftentimes lie to ourselves.
Yeah, that's central.
And then we think we're speaking a truth, but we're not. We just have like a protective mechanism or a defense mechanism, or like, you know, we're kind of like social anxiety or whatever. Like we may be like, you know what, bro, I don't want to hang out, you know, because I'm just going to stay home and like, fuck it, you know, and then regret like, I should have went out and like met some new people and whatever. Right. That would have been maybe cool. I'm not saying you have to do that all the time, but I'm just saying, you know, oftentimes we have a tendency to sort of lie to ourselves. So I think one of the issues is identifying the truth. How do we do that? Totally. You know, I don't know. What would be the J to J clinical steps to discovering one's own truth?
Right.
Because really, how do you stop at the campsite? We're here now. Yeah. And really figure this out. I think we touched on one, which is sort of communication, socializing, you know, finding a friend, whatever, a loved one, talk. Do a Therapod between yourselves, you know. Yeah. Do one with us in the comment section if you want, you know. But I don't know. What else can we do interior wise to be like, hey, actually, I just lied to myself out loud right there. Yeah. Maybe I should like, you know, sort of think like the Roland style and like say yes this time and maybe like deeper connect with somebody, with something I wouldn't have otherwise. Yeah. You know?
Well, you can feel it. I mean, here's kind of a funny one. George Orwell, 1984, right? He said that if you are essentially using catchphrases or like, I forgot the exact thing, but essentially catchphrases or just sort of like political speak or something like that. He's like, you can be sure that you're not thinking, you're just reciting, you know?
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
I like that.
There's so many ones. It's
an objective like cue right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's a way to kind of check yourself where if, and I see it in myself all the time, you know, not even around like politics, but just like you can tell when when you say something that's like being said in a way that you're almost trying to convince yourself.
Sure.
Like, I mean, I've had conversations with people where I've said, like, in response to them, are you trying to convince me or are you trying to convince yourself right now?
Right.
And I have to check myself
exactly,
on that.
Exactly. So, I find myself sometimes like reciting my like boomer parents, you know, dude, exactly. I can't go over there. That's so expensive. What do you mean? They don't give you rice on the side. You got to pay for rice. I'm not going there.
It's like, is this Paul right now, bro?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, dude, go try it. Who cares? They say it's good, you know?
Yeah.
And we went to Chow's recently, and like me and my family have always had an aversion because they like sell rice on the side. I never like questioned until now I'm an adult. I'm like, that's so hilarious. Dumb. It's like $2, you know? Who cares? Right. And went and ate there, so good, you know, and like that was one of the things where it's like, you know what, fuck it. And boom, check-in time, fucking live thread.
Yeah.
I feel now later in my life, I've really been trying to do this, is just sort of be open, more open and not so stubborn as well.
Cool.
To like a previous sensibility where I was just like, no, you guys go, fuck it. Like, you know, if it's like not like within parameters of something somewhere or something I wanted to do, I was like basically out, you know?
Yeah.
And nowadays it's like, you want to go check out the museum? Sweet, let's go.
Cool,
you know,
totally.
like let's go. And then it's free and it's fun and it's like, you know, it works out. It's like, holy shit, that was fun. Otherwise, I'd have just like been doing the same stuff that's not progressing me towards any goal that I want to do.
Where does that tendency come from? The tendency to be like, you know, like stubborn and whatever, and assessing whether or not you want to do something or whatever. What is that?
Right.
Where does it come from? Is it authentic to you?
It's easy to say just blame the parents, obviously. Sorry about that. J to J listeners.
It's Rita's fault.
No. But honestly, it's a lot of factors. Sure. You know, getting your PhD, you have to be like a stubborn person. Just like, I'm not gonna quit. Like, even if I hate this, I'm just not gonna. This is the thing,
right?
You know, and just like continue to keep doing and doing and doing.
Yeah,
you know, and then whatever media we could go into that. You know, movies, what
astrology, bro. You're a Capricorn.
Oh, I'm a Capricorn.
And that's like the definition of a Capricorn.
That is the definition.
You know? Yeah.
I'm the tree. I'm the root. The red.
You're the mountain. Go like one step at a time. Super determined. Just climbing up the hill.
Right.
Know?
Exactly. Yeah. Leader of the Zodiac, me and Jesus.
Right,
you know, and
Jesus.
Anthony Hopkins. We gotta hold it down. You know, we gotta hold it down. Yeah. So.
Nice.
But there, like I was saying, it's good to reflect on the good things as well, which have been accomplished down the journey.
Sure.
We're not still back in the Shire. I don't think so.
No.
We have definitely gone from episode 1 Life Threads
to
Therapod. Yeah. We have gone pretty far.
No, dude, I haven't been in the Shire since I was like 6.
Oh my God.
You know, it's
seriously.
been a long time.
Yeah. We got any cool friends like Strider and freaking Legolas. Incredible. Oh my God. You're dating an elf, you know?
That's
incredible.
That's true. I'm dating an elf.
She's 2,500 years old. A little bit of an age gap, but that's okay. You know, I think that's another, like, staying rooted. And you've talked about this too, sort of finding roots, you know. That's also a way to build a foundation of happiness.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
How about you? What's the check-in on the positives?
Cool, on the positives.
Because I see a different person before me.
Compared to when?
I see a relaxed, freaking
like since we last
feet up, fucking hands in the back of the head.
That's true.
Sipping on some whipped cream coffee. You got the color back in the face, smile on the face.
Dude, that burrito brought me back to life.
Just ate a delicious burrito.
Yeah, delicious burrito.
No, I think that both of us, even at Life Threads, were a little bit more neurotic back then. Just like even the hair a little bit crazy, you know, just like not so sure of if we were even on the journey.
Sure.
Perhaps we just started first time we had left the Shire.
God, it's funny because, it's like sometimes the journey's so, it twists and turns, and sometimes turns back on itself.
It does.
Have you ever walked a labyrinth?
Right. Yes. The corn maze.
Yeah. And it brings you, when you walk into a labyrinth, you go through the entrance, and it's always bringing you toward the center. But sometimes the path brings you further away from the center.
Right.
Like if you stretched it out into a straight path, you'd actually be closer to the center. But the way it's laid out, sometimes you're on a rim of the circle that's actually physically, has a larger diameter or radius or whatever from the center than where it'd be. So in other words, you go in and then you come out and get closer, and then come out and get closer, and you're always getting closer to that center, to that goal.
So I used to draw mazes every day in class.
Oh yeah, that was cool. Yeah, I remember that. First time I saw you do that, I was like, that was cool.
This guy's nuts. This guy's pretty cool.
He's gonna kill someone.
And then I gave it to you. I was like, try to solve it. Yeah. You're like, all right, he's not gonna kill anyone.
That was during the King Arthur class. Yeah. Anyway, so even though sometimes it feels like, man, did I ever actually have I actually made progress? Did I actually leave the Shire? And sometimes it feels like, no. It's like, fuck, I'm still in the Shire. I just oh my God. Other times it feels like, wow, it's like, you're on a hike, you're climbing up a mountain, and then you have a view, and then you finally can look out and you actually see the trail beneath you that you just climbed, and you're like, holy shit, I went way further than I thought I did.
Right.
So I think that's kind of my thing, is like, I went way further than I thought I did.
Yes.
So very often I'm like, oh man, I'm not there yet. But it's like, it's actually kind of incredible too, though, how much, I guess, progress has been made. Yeah. I mean, if I look at like old journal entries, I think there's a way more neurotic individual, it's not totally gone, but it's like definitely I feel a bit more peaceful. Like at this moment during a meditation session the other day, where, so you hear about these Tibetan Buddhist monks who are being tortured by the Chinese,
right,
during the Chinese invasion, or there's this one guy, oh God, what's his name? Jarvis something. Anyway, he has a website like freejarvis.org, because he's this dude who was wrongfully convicted of this crime in like Mississippi or something like that. He's a black dude in like the 60s, so it's like there's this crime and they immediately convicted him for a murder that he didn't actually commit, right? And when he talks about this, it's wild, because he'll admit, like, no, he's like, I was robbing a store. He's like, wrong place, wrong time. Like, I did rob a store. Someone got killed during that instance. I think it was the guy that he was with. It's definitely like shady, not good stuff. But he is like, I did not kill anyone.
Right.
I did rob a store. But he goes, they convicted me. And, now he's been in jail, and he's had a life sentence, right? Dude gets into Buddhist practice, meditation, and has been doing that for like 40 years from behind prison bars, and the way he talks, he's free, he's in a prison, but he's not a prisoner, if that makes sense,
Right.
And it's hard to describe. I mean, I'm not trying to say that I have that or have experienced it, but like from what I've read and with these people, it's like, these Tibetan monks who were being tortured by Chinese guards, and then they respond with compassion towards the guards, which is like crazy, I mean, that's absolutely incredible.
Right.
So in that moment, it's like,
Jesus, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Dude, another synchronicity. I cried a little bit because I was thinking about that line last night. I was very frustrated about something, and then I thought about that line. And I was talking to Anastasia and quoted that to her. So it comes back around.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool? Yeah, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they
Scientists
do.
have proven that best friends have telepathy.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I believe it, bro. I believe it. So, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. So, there's this freedom of response. So the world could throw anything at you, and yeah, you're still being tortured. You're still behind bars, but I'm wishing everyone love and compassion. I'm not a prisoner, you know.
Right.
And this guy Jarvis, he spent his life meditating, writing poetry, doing advocacy work, and all this stuff. So it's like, who's the prisoner?
Right,
you know, it's like that guy has lived a much more productive and free life than most people, you know. So who's the prisoner? And you hear him speak, and it's real. He's just got this level of like depth in his voice and the way he speaks, where it's like, that dude is not in a prison, you know. And in this one interview, he was like, yeah, I'm like behind bars. It sucks. I'd rather not be. That's why I have this petition going to get out of jail. You know, it's like, I don't want to be here, but I'm here, and all right. So, you know, but I'm not a prisoner. So I don't know. I don't know if I could describe it better than that. But anyway, so I like that. I'm meditating the other day, and I just had just some moments, you know, like even just like 5 minutes of like any area of my life that I feel trapped or frustrated in. I was just like, that I feel prisoner in. It was just like, who's the prisoner? You know, where are the prison bars? You know, just this 10 minutes of relief of just like, oh, that issue that I thought was such a big deal. The pain in my shoulder that makes me upset sometimes. The fact that I have to work a boring ass job at the moment, or et cetera, et cetera. It was like, oh, no, I'm good. I'm just listening to the birds. It's okay. You know, it's the big deal. So that for me is an indicator of huge positive progression. Where I think in the past my mind was a bit more erratic. I'd get like annoyed, frustrated, upset, and then think that I'm in the prison and all I'm seeing is prison bars. Rather than being in the prison and seeing, like, looking out the window and listening to the birds and being like, wow, this is actually pretty peaceful. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I like that a lot. That is making me think of Gandalf's famous line, which is, who of us should decide who lives or dies?
Yeah.
The only thing we have to decide is what we're going to do with the time that is given us.
Yeah.
And when you like think about that, it wasn't just about like, okay, what are you going to do with your time? But it was also a gesture of compassion.
Yeah.
Towards Schmeagol, you know?
Yeah.
And to be like, listen, this might the like sort of enemy to of, you know, going back to what you're saying about the maze, right? The labyrinth too. When him and Sam are close to Mordor, they start going in circles for a time, and they keep getting to the same place. And the only way that they're able to go forward is by accepting their enemy, Gollum. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's the one who leads them through the marsh.
God.
And eventually to the place where they need to go.
I just got chills.
It was what Gandalf told Frodo in the mines. You know, who of us should decide who lives or dies? It's the only thing we have to decide is what we're going to do with the time that is given us. You know? And what are we going to do? Are we going to decide to kill ourselves? Right. Are we going to decide to be angered, this or that? No. Sort of like this guy that you're saying in prison. Well, start reading, start opening up your mind, like start living.
Dude, you know? Exactly.
And I've definitely been in my back to Creed, baby. I created my own prison. I created. Oh man. Anastasia should have came.
She loves Creed, bro. She should have gone.
She'd have loved it, bro. I got a shirt and a hat and everything. Take me higher, so cool.
So funny.
No, but sort of we create our own prisons, you know.
Yeah.
And who's the one who's in prison? Who's the one who's free?
Right.
Well, stop living by like past traumas, past like,
right,
you know, perhaps scuffles you used to have, this and that, and move on. Like, I remember you had like some like sort of disconnection with a few of your like siblings, not bad or anything like that. Even with like your mom's relationship, whatever, not to get too personal.
Sure.
Nothing crazy or whatever, but I feel like now in the past few years those have completely changed, you know, and like
Largely,
you're a lot largely,
ways.
you know, and like have a new connection and like you know, sort of a new horizon. This guy sings this beautiful song, freaking a new horizon, in that Warrior King show, just Warrior Chief, so good.
Yeah,
Jason Momoa, and he's sort of getting over that. He like, you know, I don't want to, no spoilers, people are probably watching the show, but nonetheless, the new horizon, right? Just like a change in his life and accepting it and moving forward, you know. But, you know, there's something to that sort of Gollum, accepting the Gollum in your life to move forward.
That's huge.
Get out of the maze, you know, what are we going to do with this time? You know, the gesture of empathy, you know, and forgiveness.
Right. And there's this, the inner monster, or in the labyrinth, the Minotaur.
Oh yeah,
right. I mean, according to the Greeks, the way that the labyrinth was built was Daedalus, who's the inventor, artist, genius figure. They finally call it the Minotaur.
Yes.
Right. Who's been fucking biting people's heads off and shit in the town.
Right.
And they put the Minotaur in this. They want to lock him away, and they're like, how do we lock him away? He's going to bust down any gates that we make. I mean, he's too strong. You could push a boulder in front of the cave entrance, and he's still going to rip through that.
Right.
What do we do? So Daedalus says, well, we make a labyrinth.
Right.
And he'll get lost in the labyrinth, which is so fucking cool.
Right.
So the Minotaur is just wandering around himself, trying to get out of the maze, or not even trying, because he's dumb. So he's just like stuck. He doesn't know where the fuck to go. He just keeps bumping into walls, you know?
Yeah.
And then, God, I forget which guy. I think Perseus, doesn't matter, goes into the labyrinth and then has to travel all the way into the center of the labyrinth to find the Minotaur and then slay the Minotaur, right? In the center of the labyrinth. So again, that imagery of just like going in, spiraling in, and you don't find, you know, a pot of gold right there immediately. Right. You find your Minotaur, you find your demons, you find your suffering, you find your Gollum, you find your pain.
Yes.
But it turns out that is the path to freedom, to liberation.
Beautiful.
The Gollum is the path. You know, the Smeagol is the path. It's not, oh God, my depression, oh God, this, that. It's right. You start to listen to it, and you start to follow it and hear it. And just like Gollum, who needs to be accepted, leads them out of the labyrinth, out of the maze, out of the loop that they were in. I love this so much. Yes. You know, you have to. I'm working on a song, and I wrote a line there where
I wrote a song today. Are you serious? I literally just, I haven't wrote, I told my parents at lunch, I haven't wrote a song in years.
Oh, beautiful.
And I just finished writing it. It's saved on file.
Hell yeah. Me and Lady Stasia got to show you some of our songs. We've written a few songs now.
Crazy, nice.
Anyway, freaking, so I have this line, because I mentioned in the pod last week or whatever it was about the Celtic story with the black lamb.
Okay. Nice.
During the demon pod, the black lamb, and you have to invite the lamb in and whatever. And, you know, the lamb is representative of that like dark side of yourself. Black Phillip. Yeah. Shadow side, whatever. Right. And anyway, the line in the song is, this black lamb of yours is your path to getting free. You know, like you follow, again, just the shadow, the darkness. Right. You follow the path.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I love that.
You don't get consumed by it, but you follow it. Yeah.
No, all of that. Man, we should have named one of them Black Phillip. That'd been so good. And see, it wasn't just, I really like this because, you know, A, fucking Roland's loving it, listening to it and having right now. I love Lord of the Rings. Yeah. And B, freaking, this is a good discussion for the Therapod because it's really about dealing with trauma, dealing with, like you're saying, these inner demons, the golem, this and that.
Yeah.
Maybe even enemies within the village, love thy neighbor sort of thing. Yeah. See, it was just very much that. It wasn't about like just accepting Gollum.
Right.
Not for Frodo.
Yeah.
For Sam, he puts him on a leash and he's freaking, I'm going to kill you.
Right.
You know, putting his sword to his throat and everything.
Which doesn't work.
You know, no.
Yeah.
Takes the collar off, you know, acceptance and love for
which is
the
scary.
character.
That's also scary. There's a lot of risk involved.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yes. And sure, you know, Gollum ends up turning, but it's because of him why the ultimate evil goes away.
Yeah.
Because you took that with you to the end.
Yeah.
And then you're able to freaking fires of Mordor, you know.
Yeah.
So how do we deal, kicking it back at you, now, how do we deal with our golems in our lives, you know?
Yeah.
What do we do, you know? I think we should look at sort of the shortcomings, these times where we were feeling disconnected, little bit neurotic, whatever the case, and embrace them and bring them along with us on our journey, because those are the only way we're going to get to the end.
Right.
Instead of killing those things, fuck those memories and oh, put my throat to you, Mr. Gollum, you know, freaking Sam freaking out with his little knife, shivving him. How about let's walk along the same path and get to the fucking gates of whatever else lays ahead, which is a lot more scary. Let's face it, you know.
Yeah. Well, one thing comes to mind with that. So, all right, let's say you have two children, neither of whom have chickenpox, right? One of them has never had chickenpox.
Right.
The other one had chickenpox 6 months ago and is now good and healed.
Right.
So in this moment, neither of them have chickenpox, but there is a difference. You know, one of them is susceptible, has a weaker immune system. The other one, strong immune system, no longer susceptible to chickenpox. So I think as we go through this path, it's like, you know, you can have a very charmed life where everything's, and this isn't that many people in the world, but everything's incredibly easy. There's never any hurt or darkness or meanness around you or nothing like that, right?
Right.
And that's fine, totally comfortable. And then you have a life of difficulty and pain and so on. But then you have the healing of that pain, the healing of the chickenpox. And now there's a level of depth and clarity and understanding. Because now it's not just, oh, I'm healthy, and you take that for granted. It's, I've been sick, and now that I'm healthy, I hold that dear and hold that sacred and feel a lot of gratitude and worship for it, you know? So you have two people who are totally okay, but one has a level of depth and wisdom and understanding.
Yes.
So I think when we go through trials and tribulations and then come out the other side, there is a level of wisdom and strength that gets developed that wouldn't be there if you didn't have the opportunity to go through that. Right. You know, it's almost like your spiritual immune system.
Yeah.
You know, you purge it on out, and then it's like, I'm good. You know, I'm good.
Right.
So the question of how to do that, is that what you're asking? How to do that?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. I have a question for you, and do whatever you want with it. What has grief been teaching you?
Right. Good, you know? Good. Yeah.
What has grief been teaching you?
So I think not just grief, but like back to sort of what I was saying, all these moments of discord or like trouble, depression, you know, neuroticism, all this stuff is what those really were sort of these King Lear moments scattered throughout our life that helped us to grow into the people we are today. And yes, we have more growing to go. We always will.
Yeah.
But without those moments, we would still be in this sort of degenerate consciousness that we no longer want to identify ourselves with. That's not speaking our truth.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, sort of back to foundations, Harry Seldon, taking into account our histories and not just the immediate history 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
But your whole life too, you know, up into the point and just like, you know, reflecting on your Gollum moments, you know, and finding the trailheads and places where you got caught in the spider's nests, you know, places where you got lost in the labyrinth, you know. But having the smarts, like, who's the individual who makes it to the middle of the labyrinth? Percival.
Perseus.
Perseus. Right. Being smart enough to make it to that point. Yeah. Remembering your wrong turns, not forgetting them.
Right.
And being able to being like, okay, that was the wrong turn and that took me way far away. Yeah. But now I know where that leads.
Yeah, exactly.
And now I know that's the doorway I should be going down and go. You know, what's the rush? Yeah. You know, again, checking in on yourself through the journey. Right. Because if you don't, then you're going to keep going down the same wrong turns. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
It's just life experience. So yeah, one level, it's just life experience.
Sure. But there's some people that never grow up, you know. That's crazy. The
weird thing too. That's like a very, for me, I find that terrifying when I come across someone who's in their 50s, 60s, 70s who has the mind of a child. You know, it's right. Yeah, there's something terrifying about that makes me feel unsettled and kind of weird inside.
Right. I think perhaps because me and you are like 11 billion years old. We've been thousands of years old.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There's a level of faith too. I mean, I'm at this point, I believe in reincarnation, I'd say. And like, and I like to think and believe that this is a class, you know, we're taking classroom earth, you know, you come in and you learn and get your lessons and then dip out and your soul is that much stronger for having done it.
Right.
Because it's a tough realm. So, and you do that over and over and over again. And each time you get a little bit more clear and a little bit stronger, you know? So
and I like to think that we make our students write reflections all the time so they can retain and recall, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, dude, you and I were on a ship in like the 1800s together, freaking rowing some oars and like,
oh man, sledding down a freaking hill in Hawaii.
But we were immature then too, you know. We didn't have our souls weren't as mature, you know. It's like now we're both scholars, artists, you know, healing path, all these kind of things. Whereas at the time, we were probably some vicious dudes, angry dudes, you know?
Yeah. Went through a dark time there during the French Revolution.
Dude, that was not proud of it. You were.
I was on a bender on that one.
You were on a bender. Yeah. You killed like 14 people in that life. So that was insane.
Working with Napoleon, freaking Jean-Pierre, fire.
You were freaking front row at the guillotine, you know, fucking cheering. My God, man, that's crazy.
Oh man, so dark times. Some good times.
Fun times.
But there's some dark times. So, yeah.
Exciting.
The clothes are nice. Yeah. Hey, we may be tired. We may be like a little bit emotionally drained right now in a way, right? A little bit scattered in a way. But I think that we have found some organization, emotional organization, and we definitely know what needs to be organized. Mm-hmm. But the only way to do that is to rest, you know? And I think that's an important thing for us to remember too is, hey, get your emotional rest, get your spiritual rest. It can't always be about work. It can't always be about, you know, being a best friend, being a father, being all this stuff, right? It's just, and you know, at times you just need to rest, focus on yourself, go camping,
watch a movie, hang out, get some good sleep.
Exactly. Some marshmallows, do a pod.
Yeah.
You know, drink some whipped cream coffee. and you know, find somebody to hang out with and the like share a smile and have like find joy and like some sort of peace in this, you know, somewhat limited existence that we have. You know, it's about making the best of it that we have, you know, it's back to Gandalf with the time that we've been given. Yeah. You know, and you certainly don't want to use that time beating yourself up, being anxious about everything in your life, depressed, all this stuff. It's not worth it. No. You know, go see the sunset over a Creed concert and, laugh with your friends and rest, you know, and then you can continue on, because believe me, tomorrow will come. And then we're going to have to take on that challenge. Would you rather run that race with a great night's sleep, having had a great time with some friends? Totally. Or would you rather do it having not slept, anxious, freaking, you know, sweating bullets? Love that. Yeah. You know, you're going to fail. Right. Yeah. And the challenge is always there. So you're saying sometimes it's very okay to just step away from the challenge, you know? Yes. Not like an escapist, pretend it doesn't exist, run away. But like the challenge is still going to be there tomorrow. Sure. Take a step back. Right. Hang out, have some fun, realize it's not life or death. Right. Come back to it when you're feeling rested. Good. He'll be Gollum, the Black Lamb, Black Phillip. It's going to be waiting for you there anyway. You know? Right. Because, you know, one day you're going to have to face the gates of Mordor. And you're going to have to go inside, and you're going to have to go throw that ring in the fire if you're going to have, you know, be able to go with the elves and live forever. And I believe everyone does it at some point. You know, even these people we mentioned, 70 years old, still kind of like in a underdeveloped sort of psyche. You know, it's like, okay, maybe not this lifetime, but next lifetime or enough lifetimes of that, you know, it's like there's wisdom there too. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like I'm just getting started, bro, on the labyrinth path, the challenge, the hero's journey, the path into Mordor or whatever. Yeah. Like, I left the Shire 1,000 years ago, but like, maybe you're leaving Rivendell at this point. Yeah. Same. Right. Again, right. Like I said, this is a camping therapeutic situation. Yeah. We're not at Mordor. We're not there yet. You know, perhaps we've gone through. Haven't thrown the ring in the fire yet. A lot of scary, life-threatening things. Yeah. In the mines, we lost a loved one, freaking Gandalf. You know, but we'll love you. But we're still, you know, there, but like Boromir says, give them some time for pity's sake. Yeah. You know. Yeah. You got to give yourself time for pity's sake. Seriously, or else you won't be able to continue on. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And to continue on, I mean, I feel invigorated as well, you know, where it's like, there's a level of invigoration and a level of like, oh, you got it, you know? Like even Frodo, the whole time, even if it was like buried under doubt and darkness, the whole time there is at least a part of him that knew, like, oh, I got this. Right. I got this. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. He still had determination. You know? Yeah. He had there's a good word I'm looking for, but sort of integrity. He had integrity. He had the ability to do what was right, even when no one was looking. Right. Even when none of his family at the Shire were there. You know, he had the integrity to know what was right, what was the good thing to do, and the good thing to do was forward. Yeah. Just keep going forward. But in order to do that, you got to have second breakfast, you know, and you got to like punch down, and there's going to be hard times, obviously, right, you know, and sometimes we're just feasting on some lamb bread, but you know, the one way to get through it is seriously Sam had Frodo. We have Jared to Jared. You know,
Totally.
Everyone out there, remember the people that are around you, your family, your friends, your loved
soul
ones.
pod,
You know, yeah. And the journey you'll make it there, but you have to reflect on the past. You have to reflect on the good, the bad, and then you can get sort of to where you need to be, the center of your labyrinth.
Yeah, exactly.
You can slay the Minotaur.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I will say one shift, a kind of personal shift, potentially a major one, was like, I feel incredibly clear in my life's purpose, you know, which it's one of those things, like I've always known it, but would like, you know, it would get clouded, or, you know, or you're not living it fully for a while or something like that.
Right,
but it's
right.
like, I don't know. I'm like, I just feel very, very clear on like, oh, I know what I need to do, you know, and with that clarity, everything else can just supports that.
Right.
You know,
right,
like, okay, working this dumb job just so I can pay rent, whatever, not a big deal.
Sure.
Because it's contributing to that ultimate purpose.
Yes,
ultimate
exactly.
Goal,
Yeah.
You know, okay, I'm going to go do a school program. I'm going to do this, do that. All driven toward,
right,
you know, the labyrinth or whatever it is, you know.
And remembering you have a freaking master's degree, you know, you've been a teacher, you've done all this great stuff already. Totally. So you know how to accomplish a trail. You know how to finish that path and get to that spot, right?
Right.
So at this point, it's just about channeling all those great skills you've learned throughout your life. And now when you put your mind to task and you take this time, think about it, time spent before your education and life experiences.
Right.
Not what you accomplished. Now time spent with your education and life, you know, experiences.
Totally.
Fucking hell, man. The possibilities for both of us, they're endless.
Seriously, dude. It's the strong archer, you know, shoots the arrow, and the arrow just flies with such clear direction and purpose to its target, you know, just this like straight line.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And then what can you do then after, right?
Right.
Like most quarterbacks don't win their first Super Bowl till like 7 years in.
Oh, cool.
Right? Because it takes that time of maturation. But then once year 7,
interesting.
Bloom,
I like
and then
that.
you can win, you know.
Right.
Brady won 8 or whatever the heck.
Yeah,
you know?
so crazy.
Yeah, 6 of them. So crazy.
Yeah.
Last little story.
Please. Yeah.
There's a pharaoh, and he was the last pharaoh of the first sort of, you know, time period in the Egyptian empire, like the first kings, right?
Yeah.
And when he became pharaoh, he decided to hold these games.
Yeah.
And they're called something, right? But they're meant for the king. And it's a challenge of physical, like endurance and like, you know, strength and all this stuff. And one of them's like shooting targets with the bow and like running the track, you know, like all this crazy, like cool challenges, you know?
Yeah.
And people would gather and watch the king do this every year.
Yeah.
And when he was younger, he was breaking records and shit. He was incredible.
Cool.
But as he aged, they say this was the end of his kingdom, because as he aged, people could literally see him age in time, lose power in time. Year after year, he'd get slower. He'd miss the mark with a bow and arrow, you know. So eventually, you know, in his 60s, he lived for a while. They were like, oh my God, we got to get rid of this guy, you know, and we got to like set up a coup or whatever. And like, you know, but they say it was like a very like prosperous, happy time. And he was like one of the last like peaceful kings of this era. And I don't know, I just kind of want to hear your, like, this is a story that's been kind of like in my consciousness for like a few months now.
Yeah.
What's your take on that? I mean, I kind of like feel like he was doing that journey was, the scholars say it was bad, but I would argue that it was actually kind of good because he was able to age. He didn't have to be a Kofu or whatever and disfigure himself and like
do a bunch of weird shit
like
to
I'm
get
a
attention,
god, which is hilarious. That's like an old guy dyeing his hair now, you know, just like, dude, you're not young anymore.
Right.
You know, he was able to age naturally and like, you know, still be able to sort of, I don't know, engage in physical activity till he was older. And like in his own consciousness, not only did they recognize it, but so did he. And so when he died, he was like able to die peacefully in a way.
Right.
It didn't have to be this whole thing of, you know, he's a god and all this crazy shit. You know?
Yeah. Well, my first question was, I wonder why I don't know what his perception of himself was, but I wondered why the society didn't allow for a new kind of maturation. Like, okay, he doesn't have the physical strength and prowess that he once had.
Yes.
But going into his 60s, I'm sure he had a level of wisdom and statesmanship like an integrity and kind of regalness about him that was maybe lacking when in his younger years, even though he was so physically strong when he was younger, you know? So that makes me question, like, it sounds like the society was maybe a little too attached to youth and strength without realizing the potentials for wisdom.
Yes.
So that's my question. Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
I also understand that, like, in that context, like a really intense political context or something, it's like there's sharks all around you, and any sign of weakness, people are going to take advantage of and latch onto and all that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting how it was perceived, because he was like sort of erased and forgotten too, because he took them. The emperor before caused ultimately the chaos by trying to go monotheistic by making everybody worship Ra.
Oh, interesting.
And it was civil war. And he took over as pharaoh, and he went back to the old gods. He built, you know, pillars to all of them, you know.
Yeah.
And I think maybe they held resentment, you know, sort of perhaps towards that sort of thing. But ultimately, what happened there after him is all the pharaohs took credit for the changes that he made.
Oh, of course. Right.
So and they're like, oh, we brought back, you know, all the gods, and we did all this. And there's even like pillars where his name is scratched out and stuff like that. Yeah. Tablets and stuff. So it's pretty crazy.
Human beings are so wild.
I know. So crazy.
Weird creatures.
But again, pretty interesting sort of journey for him, you know, literally like running every year to sort of that pathway, you know.
Oh, I'm sure that's
watching
so
yourself
difficult.
Age and progress, and, you know, as you're sort of running through this labyrinth of life. Having it witnessed by the village. You know?
Last year I was buying.
Is that happening to us now?
You and I? Or like as a society?
With YouTube, with cameras, with, you know, videos, all this, we literally see ourselves aging. We can see other people losing their power, losing their strength. You know, what is the cultural response to all of that?
Right. Yeah, it's I was buying a pair of running shoes last year. Speaking of running, and the woman who's just like working the cash register there, was chatting with her, and she like ran a bunch of marathons when she was younger. At this point, she was like in her 60s. I was like, "Oh, cool. Are you still running?" And she was like, "Well, definitely not how I used to." And she seemed really sad about it.
Right.
You know, there wasn't like a level, just in this conversation, not a level of like graceful acceptance. You know, it seemed like she really was lamenting the loss of her physical strength, you know?
Right.
Or like I enjoy thinking about the karma of a beautiful woman, in particular, men too, but like women who are like really, really, really wildly attractive. Everyone thinks they're attractive, and they get a lot of sense of power or appreciation or any of that stuff, attention from being very, very, very physically attractive. And then, like everyone, you know, someone who's incredibly physically attractive ages and starts to age out of that. And then at some point they're not receiving the attention that they once did.
Right.
Any of that, which means the sense of strength, the sense of control, the sense of stimulation, the sense that you're, you know, wanted, all of that. And someone starts to lose that. And if they're not prepared to let go of the charms of youth for the, you know, wisdom and grace of age and all of that, and understanding and knowledge as you approach death, you know, I mean, that's an incredibly painful experience, an incredibly painful karma. So it's like,
right.
Yeah, I don't know why I've been reflecting on that a bit more lately. Yeah, just youth and age and seeing, youthful people just really loving being youthful, and then aging people really lamenting their age. And it's like, it's fascinating, you know. It's fascinating. I kind of look forward to old age, not the physical pain that will come with it, that's gonna suck, but like the wisdom. Some old people who I've met have this incredible level of peace about them, and that's really cool. That's what I want.
For some reason I feel that millennials are going to be good senior citizens. I
think we're just gonna have
like
enough
movies and video games
play
and
Super Smash Brothers.
It's gonna be a blast. And we went through a lot, so we're also gonna want to like party in our old age homes and stuff. You know,
I wonder if we'll get to a point where we've had enough. Like, one theory I've heard about Europe and why Europe seems to be this a little bit more advanced in its society, just like, you know, I don't want to, you know, I'm sure someone listening to this is going to be like, fuck you, you know. It's like, you know, not to make it sound like Europe's perfect or something like that, but it definitely, like, I mean, the few times I've been over there, it seemed a little bit more advanced in its culture, in the sense that, like, I don't know, people seem to just value like art and literature and just stuff like that. It seemed like it was a more sensitive society, you know, which I liked. And
it's an older culture too.
It's an older culture. But anyway, one theory that I heard was like World War II was fought, you know, on European soil. It really wasn't fought on American soil, except for Pearl Harbor, you know, which American citizens just didn't really see, you know, unless you're a soldier there. So like, European people were deeply pained, and then after World War I and World War II, it was like, okay, I think we've had enough.
Right.
You know, and then formed the EU and started to just like maintaining their sense of peace was just like became crucial and foundational, you know, to a lot of their cultures. And it's like, I wonder if America's gonna, you know, but for us, we were fighting overseas. We didn't experience it firsthand unless you were a soldier. And then there's this narrative of like power and strength, and we saved the world, and that felt so good, you know, and that turned into this kind of like imperial mindset and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
But anyway, I wonder, with all the, you know, intensity of, you know, the past 25 years or so, like if we're going to get to a point where we're like, okay, I think we've had enough of the chaos, of the political chaos, of the violence, of all that. And then we're going to start, our culture's going to say, okay, we had enough. Let's start to change, find more peace.
Right. I mean, there's got to come a tipping point, you know? There's got to be. We need a Thera country prod, like the whole country, you know, listening. Yeah. And talking back and forth, you know. But I think back to the golem. Yeah. Is oftentimes the political parties try to, I'm gonna kill you, you know, the like theoretical laws and this and that, Republican, Democrat, freaking out. I think what we need to do is like embrace each other and walk with Golem to that path, you know, pathway. Yeah. But one way that happens is oftentimes through, you know, of tragic events and stuff like that, like Rome, right?
Yeah.
When the Roman Empire fell, well, there's still Rome in Italy. So I think there came a point after such a crazy thing, and then you see other countries rise as the political power, and Britain comes around, London comes around, the UK, whatever, because of that turmoil.
Yeah.
The fall of Rome, whatever. Well, they made Italy now, and then, they built a new country, and now they're the Italians, like you're saying, sort of like a little bit more emotional, culturally like aware culture. Of course, they have their issues too. Sure. Josh is in Venice right now. He said that people, when you get off the train, they're like, don't get into fights, like watch out with the crime, this and that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
there you go. Yeah.
It's everywhere. But in this sort of paradigm of that you're talking about is, I think there comes a point where it's like, sweet, we're no longer like the superpower, some crazy shit went down. There's no more Roman emperors, and like we got a president now, and let's I don't know. You mature as a culture,
Right. Yeah, it's like, because I assume now we're therapoding the country. It's like, I assume that everyone just wants a level of peace and comfort and security in their lives. I'm tired of opening, checking out the headlines, and like every day is like genocide,
right?
War, political shit going on, corruption. Are we entering, serious authoritarianism and fascism, and the Supreme Court has been corrupt, and all, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, at some point, like AI, economic collapse, at some point, it's like, I think we can be addicted to the ups and downs, like watching a really exciting movie, like, oh my God, that was wild,
Right.
But at some point you're like, it's almost like, when you, when you go on a trip, like, you take some acid or something, and then like the first like 3 hours, you're just like, wow, this is incredible. By hour 6 or 7, you're like, I think I'm ready to be sober. This was a lot, dude. This was a lot. Like, same thing. I feel like this like dark period of America, whatever the hell it is, it's like, feels like hour 7 or 8 of the trip, where it's like, all right, guys, can we like
sure
go home and go to bed now? Because I'm tired. This was a lot.
Well, it doesn't last forever. That's the thing. Is eventually you do come to this sort of, awakening that you're saying, back to like sobriety, back to yourself.
Yeah.
Where I think we're seeing this, like the national broadcasting, sort of NBC, ABC, MSNBC, CNN, Fox. Yeah. No one's watching them anymore.
No.
It's everybody's like turning their backs on that sort of rhetoric.
It's like we're exhausted.
It's like, enough. All right, enough. Like, we need to stop doing this.
Yeah, stop.
Yes, there'll be consequences for, disrupting the village, racism, whatever.
Yeah.
But also, like, we don't want to eat it for dinner every single night. You know what I mean? Like, it's time to sort of. Lord of the Rings is going to be in the description of things we talk about, but sort of like when Frodo does, let's talk about the post, right? Yeah. Rings in the fire, Aragorn's freaking king, everybody's happy. He's not. He's in the Shire, in the tavern.
Yeah.
Sort of 1,000 Mile Stare, he hasn't quite found his true sense of home, I'm coming home. Chris Daughtry was at Creed 2, the place where I belong. And
so good.
And he eventually goes with the elves, across the ocean, to go live forever with the elves. But he doesn't have the like maturation to do that until after he's accomplished this crazy goal. He's accepted the golem,
Right.
The golem's gone now.
Right.
Freaking the ring's gone now.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to go too far by staying in the Shire.
Right. It's the return to Eden, Yeah.
He's returning with the elves, he's going back. We need to remember that too at the end of our sort of the Therapod is once you have done great things, we get to this point where we're kind of like gazing off and tired, just like, Minotaur's dead, this and that, and this back to normality.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it doesn't feel right. It's a little bit depressing. It's tiring. Did I do the right thing? You know, what this and that. That's your moment to chase your calling, to sort of channel the Rolo, freaking say yes, you know, and go with Elrond.
Did I tell you about the dream that I had where I was a cat?
No.
Okay. Do you have a couple minutes? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
sure.
All right, sweet. All right, so I had this dream, right? And in the dream, I'm like lying there and I'm in this garden, right? In this beautiful...
Loving it.
This was a while ago, this dream. So I'm in this garden and and I'm lying on a marble bench. Right. And I'm seeing all of these people in robes and gowns and, you know, very, very ancient looking, you know, walking through this garden. And there's carvings of statues of gods and goddesses and fountains and these beautiful plants. Right. And all of these divine figures in their robes just walking with each other, hand in hand, arm in arm, or just side by side. Freaking J to J style, just like talking about art, talking about philosophy, mathematics.
Nice. Yeah.
And it was just like so serene and so beautiful. Right. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. And then I started to get a little scared because I realized that I'm naked on this marble bench. And I'm like, why is no one looking at me? I thought I was like, you know, just this like naked human on a bench. Like, what the hell? Like, look at me. What's going on? You know? And then I look down at my body and realize I'm a cat. Right. And then I go, oh, that's why no one's looking at me, is because I'm just a cat.
Right.
Like I'm a cat hanging out in this garden. So I like look around and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I stand up and hop off the bench and I'm just strolling around looking at this garden, and maybe here and there someone will glance at me. I'm a cat. And then I see someone who recognizes me, right? And I recognize them. And it's this old man sitting there in his robes. And he had this beautiful light about him and this smile. And he looks at me and he goes, ah, there you are. You know, like I was his cat. So I walk up to him.
This is beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. And I jump into his lap, right? I jump into this guy's lap and he starts petting me. And I'm just like, you know, he's like rubbing my belly and I'm just like curled up in his lap. And I just felt so safe. I felt so at home. I felt so happy and so good. I felt found, you know, you know, and he goes, ah, there you are. I didn't know his name because I was a cat, you know, whatever. But, and then I think to myself, and we start communicating telepathically, right? And then I think to myself, I don't want to go back there. To the waking life, earth life, whatever.
Right.
I don't want to go back. You know, it's so hard. I'm so tired.
Right.
I'm exhausted of it. This is hard, you know? And he looks at me and kind of chuckles to himself and responds telepathically. He goes, that's not true. Of course you're going to go back. And I was like, but I don't want, I just want to stay here. I just want to stay here. And he goes, no, you don't. He goes, you're a cat. You like to explore. You get bored. You get restless. You're going to go back. And you like the adventure. You're a cat. That's what you do, you know?
Right.
And I was like, no. And I'm just sitting there. He's petting me and spend a few more moments in his lap. And then all of a sudden, I start getting restless and I start getting bored. And he's petting my head, scratching my head. But at some point, I'm just like, dude, I got to get out of here, you know? And I stand up and I stretch and hop off his lap and look back at him. And he looks at me and smiles. And then I leave and I go adventure some more. And then I turn down this alleyway and then I'm back in my body and I wake up, you know, and I'm like, whew.
Right.
Yeah. And it was like, wow. You know, so I'm a cat. I like to explore, you know what I mean? So even the throw the ring into the fire, going to the labyrinth to kill the Minotaur, you know, it's like you
sort of going back.
There's something to it, you know? It's like you enjoy it too, even during those moments where it's like, oh God, America's falling apart. What's happening? You know, it's like you're adventuring. It's okay.
Well, this is a two-parter. So going back to sort of the Hawkeye thing I was telling you, when he in his recovery from getting smashed by that snowmobile.
Yeah.
He said, my new mantra is I do everything my mind tells me not to do, in a good way. Like, go work out, go to physical therapy, go take your kids to every single thing, every time they say sort of this yes thing, back to that. Yeah. He's like, because that's what will get me to the goal of where I want to where I want to be, you know, sort of this thing. Yeah. You can't just stay at the campsite forever.
Yeah.
You gotta fucking go back on that journey. And that's what makes camping so fun, is because we can, but that's the second part, is you gotta camp.
Yeah.
You have to stop. You have to get pet and look at the garden.
You gotta go into the astral garden.
Because you'll never be able to remember how much you love the journey, how much you're ready for it, how much you have the integrity for it, how much you're willing to go further towards accomplishing that goal or finishing that pathway, getting to Mordor, right?
Yeah.
Without the camping. But again, the camping is appreciating that and then freaking going.
Yeah.
Or else the camping sucks. You can't stay there all the time. Back to Odysseus.
No, you get sick of it.
You can't just be drinking wine, making love to some beautiful goddess forever in her room. You gotta go, man. You gotta go on the adventure. Yeah. You know, you have to. You have to. Drugged out freaking Odysseus spinning, you know, just like, no, dude, like, get all your freaking crew and get out of here. Gotta get back to Greece.
And that old man, dude, the cat owner, it's like, he's still there, and he left with me. He was just like, he was like, we're always here.
Right.
So, exactly. Come back when you're ready.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay. You don't have to leave. There's no inherent virtue in either.
Right.
Do whatever you want.
Right. Yeah. That's what Odysseus needed to do. At least go visit her, you know.
Yeah.
No, it's good. That's good. I like that dream, because it's about also being happy with the time that you're given.
Sure.
Not just what are we going to do with it, but literally being content with it.
Yeah.
You know, and being like, awesome. What's next? You know?
Yeah.
Think about it like a freaking Brendan Fraser movie, Journey to the Center of the Earth, Jules Verne or something, you know?
Yeah.
Right now, me and you are at the table with the treasure map.
Oh, yeah.
And we're fucking having coffees and some Zens and freaking, we're doing and we're figuring out our adventure that's soon to come. It comes every single day, and we get to do this all the time and be like, sweet, what's next? Where's the next cool thing? The next cool place we're going to go? New people we will meet.
Right.
Cultures, adventures. What
calls.
Are the struggles that we're going to embrace and all this stuff, you know, and how are we going to react when we get there to get to our goal, to get to the treasure? Adventure calls. Yeah. And death. Right. Too, you know, throwing it back to grief and all of that. It's like the, I don't know. I like to think at some point the life adventure kind of someone accomplishes what they needed to in that life adventure, and then the next adventure calls. Sure. Sure. Yeah. What's that gateway? Totally. And then the adventure continues, you know? Yeah. But I don't think it does if you get stuck in these sorts of mental roughs, you know, where you're just dwelling in the darkness, the shadow. You can't let it eat you. Well, that's a ghost. Yeah. Yeah. You know, sticking or lingering around, you know. Right. Yeah, lingering around. And, you know, just taking life for granted. Yeah. Appreciating every day, being excited about the journey. You know, like I said, a freaking Robert Zemeckis movie, freaking where, you know, we're going here next, you know, freaking One-Eyed Willie We got the freaking John Williams score in the background.
Hell yeah.
It's going to be awesome, So I don't know. I'm happy to be living it with you.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Likewise.
And freaking, I think we have a good circle, a good village around us to get through. And, I feel like we need to remember our place within it too, and how much it's appreciated, and and we're also enjoyed and can be that sort of cure to another person's grief, or be that sort of Sam or guide, along that road, and be willing to do it. It's sort of back to the episode. Click the link down below. The offering, right? What are we going to offer to our village? And remembering that what we do offer is also appreciated, and will go down as more steps on the map to get to that X. The treasure.
On behalf of the Jareds, thank you for listening. Rate, follow, and tell your friends. The boys will be back next time, and always remember, you cannot find peace by avoiding life. Have a restful night.
Nice. Yeah, that was a pretty good ending.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I feel better already.